Hey everybody, this is Malfunction with the Narrative, another podcast live stream here from Northland, New Zealand. I'm quite excited today because I have a friend of mine who's has done a lot and is doing a lot for a lot of um, future and probably current artists and up and coming. You know, I can't let it say like the big names. That will be in the future that we can see come out of our beautiful city here in North Whangarei and in Northland itself and through New Zealand. And maybe someday, like I've met some people who actually work overseas who are based here, or they might base themselves overseas and to know that they might have come from this school that we're going to amazing thing for me. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Phillip Hetaraka, a friend of mine that kind of got that I kind of went to school with, and we're going to talk a bit about that here in Whangarei, but also a bit where we hooked up because of the comics shop I used to run where we had gaming and stuff. And that's the other passion of this. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and then we'll kick off from there.
Awesome. Thank you there, Aru, for that warm welcome. So yes, about myself, I've known Aru for well, many years back. We won't go into the details, but basically he has covered that we did go to school together, which was at North Tech here in Whangarei. So where I come into with this, and I appreciate you offering this platform and the spotlight on your podcast here. So I'm basically here working at the design school, and what that is, it's a private school set up in 1993 to help people capture their creative talent and gain the skills and qualifications needed to enter design courses at diploma and degree levels, or to launch their design career. So that school is based in Palmerston North, so that's our head office. That's where it all started. In terms of Northland here, Whangarei, I believe we started the school here in 2014, 2015. I came on board the school in 2000, at the end of 2015, 2016. So I'm basically the graphic designer here at the school, and basically the doors are open for those who are interested in design, and particularly creative design. So a bit about my background. I guess I've been dabbling in and out of design all my life. Had about a 10-year break, you could say, from not so much as completely all design, but in career, which led me and my wife to Australia. So we were there for about that amount of time. But when we returned, I thought it was about time to reignite my passion that's been sitting there and just laid to rest for a bit. So no, it's been a pleasure to be here at the design school that was enabling me to do what I do here. Thank you again,
Oh,
Maru.
that's great. Tell me about Aussie. Like, you went over there. Were you there for 10 years, or were you just there for a few years? And what was the
Yes.
reason for going to Aussie?
So it was a change of lifestyle, I guess.
Mm,
So my wife and I just thought we'd go over for a holiday and ended up living there, basically.
yeah.
So the industry I was into back then was the
Okay.
hospitality industry, and it's been the best thing for me,
Mm,
to be honest. um,
What
enabled
were you
me
doing in there?
to hospitality.
Was it like a yeah, we like chef, waitering, tourism?
Right. So I had a number of roles.
Mm.
Firstly, I started off with McDonald's. So prior to moving over there in Australia, I was working here at Whangarei, Carmel,
Yeah.
McDonald's, and I had just become manager, I believe. And yes, and then I, I was only here for about a year before we moved to Australia, and then I carried that over in Australia.
Did you
As
like work your way up to management at McD's, or were you just had a management degree and went and do that with that?
I worked my way up from from bottom up, crew member
Yeah.
to manager, and then over in Australia I got into more of a store manager role over there, in various venues, I guess. So I wasn't working at just one site, but across multiple sites in Australia, Brisbane, Australia. So
So, so having gone from like just being, serving food at McDonald's, working yourself up to management, and then being able to, change of scene, went to Aussie and working at McDonald's still at different areas. So, did you enjoy that? Like, I mean, from someone who's like basically walked in and said, "Hey, here's my CV. I have an diploma of in arts, but I would like to work in food." And then
yeah,
end up in, managing a place and then carrying on. Was it the scene going up into Aussie to be able to walk into McDonald's there and say, yeah, I've done this here, whatever.
yeah, sort of. It's quite funny actually. I I approached the hospitality industry in a I guess daring way. So the thing with me, I get bored real quick.
Yeah,
I got bored real quick, so I needed challenge,
yeah,
and believe that was one of the dares. I just jokingly said, I'm going to work at McDonald's, and then
yeah,
voila, I ended up there, at Carmel here.
yeah,
Took that over to Australia, and I enjoyed it, really
mm,
enjoyed it. So what really made me stay with McDonald's for that amount of time. So I I was with McDonald's for about 3 to 4 years,
yeah,
total. And what made me stick with them is the the interaction, the communication with people,
right,
that it allowed you to do. So I got really good at speaking with people, speaking to people,
mm, mm,
and understanding their needs and all of that, as you would in any hospitality. So that
yeah,
gave me a set of skills that required, um, actually you can use in your day-to-day life. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, that's what I loved about it. And
Yeah, I kind of find it like interesting because, like, you know, every like we've kind of come to a place where everybody wants, I want to go into management straight out of school. I'm going to get the big dollar and stuff. And, you need to pay me this much money or I'm not doing it. The reason I bring up this hospitality way and so on, because before I even, went to art school, I was doing my second year at chef school here in Whangarei at Barge Park. This is like about 80, oh, sorry, 90, 94, 93, right? And then at the end of it, I was like, I'm not enjoying this. It's I enjoy cooking. I cook almost every day, new things all the time. But and then like I don't want to be a chef. I don't feel like I need. And I was doing whatever. I don't feel like that. Then I went and at the end of it, I had all this artwork that done, and I went and applied for applied arts, and that's how we met together. And
yeah,
I guess same school and the same class, I guess. And then you moved on to uh, Murray Design, I think it was, wasn't it? Applied Murray
Yes,
Design. Okay,
contemporary and
so
early arts.
right, and that was a great. I love mixing and mingling with the students there. I thought that was like back then. This is like '93. The atmosphere
Yeah,
at North Tech was all about collaboration. It was all about anybody could do anything. Nobody had a problem with anything. You could go and drink and go and hang out with this class or that class. Go with the drama students. Go with the applied arts photography students. One of the weird things is where I'm living right now. I remember in about '94, maybe or '95, I actually came to this place for a party, a Polytech art party from the visual arts photographing class, right? Who I'm friends with now, you know.
yeah.
But like some of them, and like the way this place behaves, the synergy of work at Primary is it always amazes me and has amazed me for the last 10 odd years since I've been back. And you see all this creativity that comes out of that year or that sort of decade. And and I look at you and I go, we're about the same age, around 50-ish, 40-ish. And I think you look at the amount of artists and creative people that have come out of that sort of decade is amazing. And that's a lot of them have stayed. So what made you, go from, spend that time at school? Did you finish your degree at Polytech or diploma or what, what happened there?
So, good point. Now, at the first year I didn't. So, I was testing the waters, basically. Testing the waters, and it wasn't until the second year
Yeah,
that, I was like, no, you know what? This might not be for me. And at that time, there's a lot of things happening
yeah,
in Whangarei that were while I was experimenting with. So
yeah,
I kind of skimmed the surface at the first year. Second year, then I just knuckled down. It's like, you know what, I've had a rest, and
yeah,
then pursued to continue and finish it. And which led to the third year, and from that point onwards, it just opened up what was outside of Northland, really, Whangarei.
yeah,
And then, and the world's your oyster after that. Once you've had a taste of your first, certificate, degree,
yeah.
diploma, then, again,
What did you do then? Like, I mean, like, your world's an oyster. What did you step into? Did you because I didn't graduate, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm wondering, like, did you graduate? Did you, get your paper and carry on, or
So much like you, no,
yeah,
not for the first 3 years, because I
yeah,
was, just scratching the surface. But then
yeah,
after that, moved to Auckland,
okay,
and then I studied in Auckland and a whole bunch of places just to finish off my
yeah,
degree.
okay,
And no, uh, it was a different scene, you could say,
yeah,
outside of Northland. So, and I think it was more of myself um, getting to communicate with others, because I was very shy back in Polytech.
yeah,
Very shy. I wouldn't say boo to anyone. Um, and it took, again, hospitality to bring that out of me,
yeah,
and to be able to have the confidence to stand up and speak. Public speaking was another thing. So
I mean,
yeah,
like I talked about, did a thing about like I cried on my first public speaking, right, in high school,
yep,
15
yep,
years old. On stage, I boiled. My eyes just boiled out, no, boiled out. Like I was that there is a that thing about fear of speaking. I never even knew I had fear of speaking until you
yeah.
get up there and speak and you realize there is 40 people
Oh,
in front of you and they're your same age. They're not old or or younger, but they're your age, your high school mate, age. Some know you, and that fear. So I mean, then you're having this experience of actually working other people. How did you get out of that shell? Like you say, you got out of the shell. How did you get out of that?
again, hospitality.
Yeah,
um, because you're forced to deal with customers, um,
right.
and and over so many years, I mean, I have been in hospitality for around about that 10, 11 years,
Okay.
even more. Um, but the initial step of that is, or even overcoming that fear of speaking, is just to do it, you know.
Yeah,
Even if, like yourself, if you just cry, um,
yeah,
that's all good too, you know. No, these days, it is a bit different than back when we were at school. Um,
yeah,
I think it's a little more controlled, and that's similar to what this school is, what I bring to the school here.
yeah,
It is a little bit controlled as to how you deal with your peers, your students, and your
yeah,
customers, and so on, and clients. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, back then in the 90s, it was a bit scary, almost as
Mm.
if you were uh, just beginning to walk in a way. So everything's new.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
everything was new. And for myself, I couldn't really latch onto anybody or um, who I could follow to become confident as such
yeah,
back then. So again, it was just, yeah, you either stand there and just look like a statue, I guess. That's what happened to me a lot. Just thank you, sit down.
yeah.
um, yeah, so not even a word, but yeah, until now it's different, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're kind of like, I mean, especially now you're dealing with students of was it high school and older age, or what is the age for the design school? What's the age for that?
So 16 plus
Mhm. Okay,
is the
so
age group here.
you basically say what's the age that people can leave schools at right now? Because I remember when I left school it was 15 because I'm a high school dropout, never graduated, and so on. But now I have degrees, I have like certificates, having known nothing. But now in the world, like you're saying, you get to experience it. You get the doors open. You're like I left home when I was 16. I moved to like 16 and a half, going on 17. Went to Auckland. Uh, my I started working in a biscuit factory for about 3 years. The first day I walked in, I was like, "It's so friggin' hot. I'm never coming back." I was there for 3 years. I had a Maori female who was working next to me because we're on on a on a table, right? Like so, like like you have like the chip chip thing at McDonald's. So there's a steel
Yes.
table, and we pack the biscuits there, and we put in the oven. So the size of the oven is like about 2 meters by 2 meter, and about 3 meter high ovens that you walk into. So the first day I walked in, I said to her, I walked home because it was only about 3 miles from home, and I was walking home, and I said, I can't remember her name. I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm Indian. I can handle it. I'm supposed to handle the heat, right? Dude, the way I sweated that place that first day, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I said, never coming back. After 3 years, I made so many cool mates. I had, long lasting friendships. Like I had a Rarotongan friend who was like a little person, right? And then I had a Pakeha friend and a Tokelauan friend, right? So, all these different people that work with me, Tongan, all around me, and Indians from Bangladesh were the people who owned it. And I was the only worker who was not, even from that city, and not even part of that even people who owned it. So as an Indian, I was a stranger to everybody else as well. And so at 16, 17 years, but until until I turned 20, there been 3 years I was there in that environment, and like the whole world opened up. Enjoying that time. When you moved to Auckland, did you have that experience as well? Because here in Whangarei, we're basically at that time in the 90s, we're like two nationalities, right? Bicultural, majority, 80%, 90% is bicultural. What was it like for you experiencing the Pacific Island community or the Asian community in Auckland at that time, mid 90s?
I very very interesting. Very interesting is what I thought of Auckland. However, in saying that, I kind of, with my schooling, pre going to moving to Auckland, um, I've I was brought up in a multicultural school, I
Okay.
guess, which is Tikipunga High School
Yeah.
at the time. So very diverse, very diverse, and I was used to um, that diversity there. Um,
Yeah.
being at that school, I was kind of labelled as a nerd, I guess, as you can say.
Yeah.
Um, but what struck me is the fact that all my friends were every other culture but Māori at
Right.
Tikipunga High School, and
Yeah.
it took my brother to point that out, and it was towards the end of the year, and he was totally the opposite. All his friends were all Māori
Yeah.
Pacific.
So I'm like you. Everybody I knew was like, all my friends were like every other culture but Indian,
Yeah,
right? So, you know,
yeah.
and how, having been pointed that out to you by your brother, what was that like?
Oh, it was just an eye opener. I was like, no, no, no. I do have friends. Name one,
Yeah.
and I was stumped.
Yeah.
From that point onwards, yeah, that changed. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Um,
Yeah.
but back then, it wasn't a bad thing, you know.
No.
Um, it was a good thing to be diverse, and my friends saw me in that same light too. They would question. They go, "Oh, are you from
Mm.
here? Are you Māori?"
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I did get that, and so taking that on to moving to Auckland, it just continued, and I saw everyone as the same pretty much. It
Yeah.
didn't affect me at all. Um, in fact, I think it was a stepping stone for me to actually reach out to others and start, my
Yeah.
confidence in public speaking and communicating with others. So, yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed Auckland.
So how long were you in Auckland
Sorry.
for?
Uh, testing my memory. Um, a
Were we looking at
while.
about 1998, 99?
99.
Oh, no, no, no.
So,
This would be
no,
about,
I would have been in and out. So from the early 90s, mid 90s to the 2000s.
Okay.
So I bounced around.
Yeah.
At the time, I was completing certificates because I wasn't dedicated to any other degree or diploma. So what I mean by that, I studied Te Reo Māori,
Yeah.
so in both Auckland and Waikato in
Yeah.
Hamilton. And then I did try to go back to applied arts in
Yeah.
Hamilton, but then wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know why it wasn't. I think my mind was just all over the place at that time, and I was doing jobs here and there. But yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about you went after that. You went to Australia. You came back. How did you get into design school? I mean, like you've come out of like I mean, you not only do you have a pretty good background in arts now, you have certificates, degrees in arts, but now you've gone over to Aussie, and you've gotten this confidence by working yourself up to management level. But not only that, you've actually done it in two different countries, right? You're not just done it in New Zealand amongst, your own people kind of thing, Kiwis, right? But you've gone into
Yeah.
Aussie where, it's a totally different environment. And then you've come back. What what brought you back?
So, like with most Māori families living abroad, family usually brings you back, and that was the
Right.
case for me. Um, so yeah, um, family is the foundation of who you are,
Yeah.
basically. So it was an unfortunate way, I guess, to have. We were doing fine in Australia, however, yeah, with your family, they weren't doing too well, so we thought, no, it's time to come back and spend more time with, the time that your family has left. So
Yeah.
that's what ultimately brought me back, my wife and I back to New Zealand, and it's been the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Best thing ever. I know the options and that you have outside of New Zealand is, you can make as much as you like, millions, thousands, millions, but in the end, it all amounts up to what you're going to do with it,
Right.
what are you doing
Yeah.
with that? So throughout my career, my working career, it hasn't really been about the money, not
Yeah.
at all. So I don't think there was one job that I've been to that I have made it about the money. No, you've got to love what you do
Right.
to make it, basically. So I'm one of those where, I just love what I do, and in turn, I'm sharing that knowledge, sharing my knowledge,
Right.
what I've picked up and experiences
Yeah.
in life, and passing that on to others. But yeah, and family's been a big part of that, which I should have mentioned in the beginning. Family is the foundation of who I am.
Yeah.
So family is ultimately what brought us back to New Zealand, and I guess led me to where I am now. And
Right.
that in itself is
So
another. Yeah.
yeah, no, carry on. I'll just let you finish that, then I'll get to my question.
Yeah, yeah. So that in itself is another story, um, a great one at that. So I'm not sure if you know of a friend of mine. Um, so she was working here at the design school when we moved back to Whangarei. Um, she had heard that I was back in the country, and
Right.
so she basically um, hit me up and said, why don't we meet, go and grab a coffee somewhere, and I'll tell you where I work and what I've been doing.
Yeah.
At the time, I was working at the hospital
Okay.
as a barista, so
That's yeah. I remember that because when you were being at playing Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff
yeah,
at
yes,
at comic shop at the comic store. I knew I knew you're the nurse, right? Or you're working at the hospital as such.
yeah.
And with when I came back 3 years ago, I was like, or 4 years ago, I was like, he's teaching.
Wait, what?
So it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you
So
had this meeting.
yeah, had this tea, coffee, sat down with
Yeah.
her, and she introduced me to the school, um, and introduced me to her bosses, and we got to speaking and sharing, um, much like what we're doing here, and
Yeah.
long story short, I got a email with a job offer that night. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, so my friend was setting me up basically, setting me up.
Yeah.
I had no
Well, I
clue
mean,
what was happening because
I think she probably realized that here's someone with so much experience, but also with so much qualifications as well. Why is he doing this thing? And it's like, why can't we grab him? And you just got headhunted, right?
yeah,
That's basically what happened. You
basically
got headhunted without even the career. What is it? If you sign up to a careers thing, the guy that goes headhunting for other people, you actually got somebody came to you without that extra payment. Somebody else. And
yeah.
so you got that email. What happened after that? Like, did you just go, "Oh, this is great. I'm just going to do this"? Or how'd you see that?
Oh, absolutely. Um, I was like on the phone. What did you just do?
Yeah,
No. So
I can imagine that from you. Yeah,
yeah, I was like, what? No, I
yeah,
took it all in that night. I was like looking over at my wife going, oh, I just got an offer from the school. So I took a week to iron things out with my previous employer, and
yeah,
yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. So my talent is just, I haven't really released or gone out there and shown my work at all. So why not just share it?
yeah.
So then, yeah, and accepted the job, and here I am.
So this is about 2016, 2015.
Yeah, 20,
So you've been there about.
2016, early 2016. So about six
So
years.
did you? Yeah. So did you just get straight offered into the management role, or did you have to do a teacher's role for a couple of years, or how'd that happen? Because you already
Yes.
qualified as a manager, right?
Yeah.
So
So that was uh, I wouldn't say an advantage, I guess.
yeah,
Um, but in a ways it did help me
mm,
within having that backing, and so training was provided on the job, so
yeah,
and which is ongoing, which is
yeah,
great also. So it is
mm,
ongoing.
mm,
Um, So training is a part of it, that you do have to complete papers to be able
Yeah,
to expand or do anything further than what you're capable of. But
yeah,
yeah, no, I didn't really do anything outside of that. I was just pretty much slotted straight into a tutoring role. So and yeah, I guess it was my first tutoring role.
yeah.
I'm trying to think if it is or not. No, I think it was. So um, yeah.
So, so what was expected of you as you coming in? Because I mean, you got headhunted out of. What were you doing before? Like you were at the hospital. What was your role
Yeah.
at the hospital, and how long were you there compared to been here for 6 years at design school?
So I came back to the hospital. I was only there for about a year, I
Yeah,
guess, for about a year, and I loved it. I
yeah,
loved it, um, and I still can do it to this day.
yeah.
Um, so I was a barista. So I was a
Okay,
barista waiter at the cafe at the time, at
yeah,
the DHB,
yeah,
and um, I just loved serving coffees, making them,
yeah.
and so that transition I did miss. I did miss,
Mm,
not gonna lie, um, and so, but being open to the community and the shops around where the school's situated in town, so I
sure.
was able to um, I guess quench my thirst through the cafes that were around town here. So
So
and at
let's
times, yeah.
yeah, let's talk about the school itself now, because like 6 years of coming into a teaching role, and like I said, you didn't teach before. You're teaching, and now you've gone up to work yourself up to management role. Now, what is it like from being a student, an art student, right? Being an art teacher and design teacher, especially in graphic design. I mean, we kind of have a similar ideology with like creativity. I mean, with design and stuff like that. But from what I've seen around at the school itself, there's so much uh, different things that happen there. You go from cosplay to designing products to designing, just posters and all these different things. Whereas it's kind of like it reminds me of at Polytech, but without the glass blowing and without the jewelry side that I was involved with, as craft design. But you're more sort of like hands-on sewing. It's kind of different from what you guys are doing compared to what everybody else is doing. That sense, it's like you know, it feels like you design your cost your because there used to be a fabric school, right? There used to be a the Polytech used to do a I think it was like a fabric design school or something like a tailoring
Yeah,
school back in the
they did have
90s.
a
Yeah.
fashion course
So
running there.
right. So now you've got that, but on top of that, you've got the production designing of products and the business side of that, uh, and the commercial aspect of that. You also have like 2D as well and 3D digital stuff, or is it just 2D?
So um, basically, we teach at a foundation level. Um, and we cover all creative industries.
Okay,
So we get students coming in wanting to be um, animators,
awesome.
fashion fashion trends, starting
Yeah.
their own labels. So we've had a
Mm.
really diverse amount of creativity here walking through our doors.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we cover just the basic design principles
Mm.
so that you're able to go into any creative industry. So that's what we basically have here at the design school. Now,
Right.
moving forward to that, or moving forward with that, it's it's more than just a qualification or skill that you're getting from us. I've inserted a lot of my, um, I guess, life skills into
Mm.
what my delivery. So
Yeah.
for myself, it's more providing a safe space for creatives, um,
Right.
opposed to you know um, here's a place for you to gain a certificate in arts or
Yeah.
design. So you
Yeah.
are getting
There's a
that,
you,
but much more on top.
right. So they're not walking in with and walking out with a paper and that's it.
That's
And
right.
they're coming in with their own ideas about what they want. Because I mean, we live in like I love this. I can harp on about, and I always do, about this actual generation we live in of technology, right? A few years back, if you said you wanted to create a game, and here's a true story. When you're talking about brand design, I went to a business school at Regent, right? And I spent 6 months, I think 3 to 6 months, designing my own logo and coming with my own brand as part of a business course, a 3 month small business course. And this is way after like studying and all this. I actually got made redundant at about 27 years old from a job I'd worked for 3 years back in 2001. So I had to do a course, just got married, did this course, and came up with my own label, t-shirt designs, did the whole clothing and everything, right? Next to me, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, is a married guy, similar age to me, right, about 20 something. And he goes, I want to design, a mate and I are thinking of doing a game, a software, a game. I'm going to come up with. Nobody understood that. This is about 2001, 20 odd years ago, 2002, right? Yeah, about 2002. And we couldn't understand what was going on there, right? I mean, not what I couldn't understand was that he had it so worked out. He was thinking in the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of what this could do, what he was going to do. And for us at that time, and I could look around, nobody had a clue. Now you say it, okay, let's go. Let's do this. Okay, what app are you going to use? What software? Where, have a Google search, mate? We didn't have that 20 years ago, right?
No,
I was looking at some of my phones today because I was going through some wiring because I had a technical tech friend over Mike Kelly who's running this Northland Artist Talk webs podcasting thing set up, and he spent a lot of money, and I hope a lot of people will support that. But and I was looking at the phones and the different phones, and way back then there was no, I had a separate computer to jack up with my mobile that would let me get on the internet. It was a compact PDA, which meant like a personal device unit or something like, you know, and assistant, yeah, So there was two pieces of little friggin' bricks about this size, right? Phones next to each other, which let me go on a Canon compact computer, whatever it was, or Hetaraka, whatever it was, that could let me search the website separate to my little mobile phone. because I couldn't have the same thing. That cost $1,000 alone, just that part, right, to get on the internet. And so, but here's a guy, right, next to a person who wants to do Wicca, uh, is it Wicca baskets, right?
Right.
And here's me wanting to do clothing, and here's he wants to do this. He's got this brain, and he's designed all these characters. He's going to go and do this, and he's just doing a small business course. And now you would go, show me what you got, and let me find you someone to help you do that. 20 years ago, there was no one that I could think of that could actually come next to that guy and say, hey, you know, I actually succeeded. We actually set up our own brand. We were good to go. After a while, the clothing company just had to take a byline, sideline while I went into my film degree, right? But now you've got a place here, design school, where you can go in and you would have someone, if not right there, down the road, and if not right down the road, at the other design school, who could advise that person to take that idea right to the end, right? So how do and here's
Absolutely.
what I'm going to is next to that person, you have someone who's designing a clothing, right? And is thinking about designing a costume to do cosplay.
Yeah.
And that's all they're thinking about. Maybe they want to do a cosplay business. And now in this generation, in this time, in this age, you can make that into a business just to
Absolutely.
design costumes. So how do you deal with that? Because as a tutor, you've got so many people coming in with so many ideas, like you said, diversity of ideas, diversity of creativity, walking through that door going, this and this and this is what I'm thinking. And and it's not going to be like my time where the person has no clue how to make this person go to the next level with that.
Yes. So that is a really great. You painted that really well there, Aru. Especially with the. I don't even know if you could call it talent anymore, because I've been around it. I've been amongst it for so long now that it's just become the norm for me. So
Yeah,
now everyone that I see has talent. Um,
right,
whether or not you're here for a creative purpose or you're going next door to be behind a coffee machine,
yeah,
upstairs for hairdressing, whatever it may be. Now I see everyone has talent in their
yeah,
own mind. It's more for myself as how do we extract that, or more of the ideas that the individual has, and bring it
right.
forth, bring it forward so that not only they can see, but others can enjoy seeing with them. So, and there is a lot of talent here in Northland,
Right.
so much talent, and like you mentioned, we've had students coming in, starting off with they've had a passion for cosplaying or anime or drawing, watching movies. Music is another creative side of not what we do here, but we do have students that have that ability, that creativeness to be able to take their music to the next level. Um,
Well, talking about that, right? So tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing Ross Payne. If I'm, if my, yeah, if I got it right. He's an animator, cartoonist who does music videos for other people. So they bring their music to him. He creates these creatures and artwork that he animates himself for that. So
Oh,
if you
no.
have a classroom like the creativity that you guys have at design school, when I walk in, I go, wow, this is great. It's like me going, this is my world, right?
Yeah.
And so like you said, there's students there who do music, but then there's right next to them who have their talent, skill, animators and
Yeah.
artists who could actually come up with something for that person to take their music to the next level. Because it reminds me of Gorillas, right? Corn,
Yes.
Freak on a Leash, one of the greatest, you know, metal songs that came out in that time in the 90s, which basically had an animated, music video. And so
Yes.
you kind of, and this is why I kind of love this, what we do as well. But the way of mashing that's, different people with different people in our community. Just saying, look what they're doing, right? Look what somebody else is doing, and how do you say, how do you teach that to them? Because I'm always about how do I join people together,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
musician to that artist or to that cosplayer, to that game player, you know, whatever their skills are, or that to make them work together to send them to the next level together, or you know, in time, right? And the reason I say that is because when we started doing Plunge, I just had, Hinu said, hey, I got this, have you thought about this? We said, yeah, cool. She said, come and see us when you have the, when you come up with, if you decide to do it. So I did. And I sat down with Leonard, right? Len, one of our friends, who
Yes.
actually, who's now managing, uh, curating, Hihuala, right? And basically, I sat down with them and he said, have you thought about this? 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 Have you thought about these people? Have you thought about that? And I'm like getting my brain just getting expanded. I'm saying, yeah, I do have a management, you know, I do have this, but uh, what about this time? Mm, okay. Learning all this because he's teaching me what I need to know if I want to go to the next level. So how do you do that with totally individuals who've never thought about that sort of thing, and they're just coming in. Hey, I got a piece of paper, like I did when I went into, when I went to art school. I went, here's some drawings I have done over the last year while I've been drinking, right, and
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
my chef's course, and spending all the time blotched out of my brain. But here's some pencil, colored pencil drawings because I've decided I want to go into art. And I'm sure you're going to have some of those people coming in with like this, or you're going to have more qualified people because they've been teaching themselves YouTube. How do what is that like, and how do you administer that?
It's absolutely awesome. Awesome. I love it. It's my forte to be able to um, deliver what I do to students as such as what you've mentioned there. And we have got so many and have had so many students walk through our doors um, with those dreams and aspirations and ideas. So uh, the way I deal with that or I approach is basically I'm also learning. So I'm putting myself down to their level so that they're able to understand and
Yeah,
move forward rather than me being okay, I'm your teacher, your tutor, um,
yeah,
this is what needs to be done. No, I go down to their level and just basically um, they're teaching me as well as I'm teaching them. So it's a win-win, and I'm sure it's a cliche that everybody that you meet
yeah,
is your teacher now,
yeah,
and that stands true for me. So I never see myself as a tutor per se, although I do
yeah,
have that role here. Um,
yeah,
I am more exposing their talent, and
yeah,
you know I'm getting them to realize their dream basically,
Right.
and whether it's for I don't know, videography, cinematography, you name it. We've had a whole lot of these students come through.
Yeah.
Not only that, so I'm going to go back to the family aspects of
Right.
things. So, and that's the
Okay.
way the
Hold on a bit.
design. Yes.
Hold on for a bit. So I remember, like, just on the artist part of things, and then we'll go into the family thing. So in the old days of the 90s and 80s, of the terrible artist era of the poor artist, if you're a poor artist, you you're an artist, right? If you're a poor artist, you're an artist. If you do this, you're an artist. You've got to be flamboyant. The thing I find about now is how do we make our artists successful? How do and how do we get them from thinking about, yeah, I just want to do this. It's like from that to being, hey, listen, if you do this, you could be successful. And you know what? Not only that, but you could actually help other people. And not only that, but you could actually become a bit, do more with what you got. How do you apply that into what you're doing with the students? Because I know everybody that's going to come in is like has different ideas, right? And different thoughts about what art is and how to apply that. Whether they just want to learn something and go home and do their own thing, maybe in 10 years put out something, or someone who is continually learning by taking what you're teaching them or the other teachers are teaching them, going home, practicing that out and putting into practical thinking and then coming back and saying, yeah, I think I can make a career out of this. And in the past, it was like, if you're poor, and an artist, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Blah blah blah. You're still an artist. Now it's like, listen, you got to keep working and working and working so you can be successful at this and be something better, at it. And how do you kind of see, do you see that happen with the students now? They're not like we used to think about, but now, you know, not a tag, but an actual career.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky um, when when you're looking outside of school.
Yeah.
Where to go from here? Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as an artist? Um, and so on. So with me, I do see that a lot within the school here. Um,
Yeah.
like the options are, sorry, set. Um,
You can mute your mic.
yeah,
Phil,
okay,
you can
sorry,
mute your
won't be
mic
a
and
sec.
talk. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Just mute your mic. Or I can mute it for you. Yeah. Hey guys. So yeah, I mean, I think when I was at while Phil's away, the reason I mentioned the whole not a tag but a career is that when I was at art school, we had seniors like the next level, like a third year students would like, as a first year student going to Polytech, doing applied arts, craft design school. I had third year students behave like artists, just I'm an artist. And so they would live that artist sort of thing. It was like this cloak that they wore. Now, when you say you're an artist, it's because you're doing the work. You actually see a career in it, and you see, something that you can live and make future out of. But back then it was like, oh, you create a piece of work, and that's an art. And then for the rest of the year, you do nothing. And And I found that to be really weird because I was like, I don't think that way. I don't think that that's how I, create 12 works a year and that's art. I'm like, I create all the time if I'm, jumping and thinking, jumping from one thing to the other thing to the other thing because it's a lifestyle career thing. It's not just something you just tag onto yourself and everybody goes, oh, there's an artist. It's not, I don't feel like think at now in our this current generation, we have so much available for us all to actually make a lifestyle career out of it, where we're not sort of behaving in a way that it's just a tag we wear on our back, or but actually an actual uniform that we wear all year round, all the time. And yeah, so I think that's why I think some, you know that's why I love this whole aspect of design school because I think that when you have something like the design school, Phil, when you are able to cover so much, so much practical side of it, and I think that what you offer, and also engine room, right? What engine room offers, and the other side of that more digital side of that, it becomes such a great sort of synergy of what somebody, you can take that little piece of paper and make a costume, and then go and compete at Benina, right? This year, because Lynette was telling me, right? So Benina's coming
Yep.
up, so your students could basically, create something in the classroom, put it together, and sew it together there in the classroom, and then take it. Whereas before it was so divided in so many different areas. Like you said, you got photography, you got animation, you got fashion, as I took, we just mentioned. And what other things are they learning there?
Obviously, numeracy and literacy is a foundation for all courses. So
Yeah.
we do cover that. But mainly graphic design and fashion and textiles design is what we offer here at the design school.
Mm.
From NCEA level 2 to 4. So
Okay.
students that are still at school are able to join our school for a day or 2 days a week and gain credits from us towards
That's pretty different.
their school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do offer part-time
Yeah.
here at the school, and that's really great for us. I mean, it's not only keeping our full-time students in the loop of what's happening in tertiary and secondary schools, but it's it's keeping a good, well-rounded, creative space for everyone.
Mm.
And it's something that we all enjoy, being able to be, sharing our
Yeah.
ideas with those who are still at school and those who are
Yeah.
out of school. We have some who have diplomas, degrees, masters even on our
Mm.
course in the past. And they've just solely jumped on because they've done it all, and it's just
Yeah.
a hobby that they wanted to extend and pursue. So, and it
Yeah.
was great to be able to um, deliver that to these individuals also, and and now they're out there doing what they love, whether
Yeah.
it's helping out with web design, so coming up with icons, logos, just graphic
Yeah.
elements, and so on. So it's been really
Yeah.
great here at the design school in
Well,
terms of
one thing I because I'm a big brain guy, right? And this what I mean is when I mention big brain is I visualize. I'm all about vision, and it's not that I have a big brain, but it's because I think of so much stuff that we can do in Ray that we can take to the world. And so my big brain says, you know what I want? I want a design, I want an animation school. I want a comic school. I want this. I want that. because I want to see people succeed in what they enjoy and what they make and what they create. But not only that, I want to be successful enough where I can harness their um, their skills into what I do, you know. And I think um, Lynette is saying here that you do great, you know, you do great work. Love the feel of the design school, and
Oh, thank
and
you,
she's
Lynette.
right about that, right? And yeah, I agree with it because I like walking in there and seeing that. And the other thing is that when someone learns the skills, how do you take them to saying, hey, now that you've got the skill, you've got your paper, you've spent this time here, 2 years or 3 years, how long is a diploma? Degree is what, 3 years? 2 years
Yeah,
for
three.
diploma, or was it a year diploma?
A year diploma, three for degree.
Awesome. So, I mean, if what do they do next? Like, how do you think what is on offer for them next, and whether one thing for me is like, how do we keep our students here? How do we keep our
Yeah.
skills here, Whangarei and Northland? And if we're spending these skills from our two teachers and our tutors to impart all this knowledge from our own local people into our own local people, then why are we gonna let them go away? So I'm like, why can't I? How do we keep them here? And what is on offer for them?
Yes. So that's ultimately the goal, right? Just to keep our
Yeah,
students here, so that our community grows along with them. That's definitely the goal for us also, for myself. Because like when we were back in our time, we
yeah,
didn't have spaces like where I'm at now.
right,
Yes, we had Polytech. That was like thousands of dollars to enter, and
right. I'm
so
still
on.
in debt.
But right, and
Yeah,
no other place offered something like this other than outside of Northland, Whangarei. So
right.
therefore, my travelling started at the same age as you, I guess, around about 18,
Yeah,
16, 17, no, not 16, but 18. Um,
yeah.
that's when I stepped out of Whangarei. But, and that's always been on my mind, how do we, keep our um, students or keep everyone in the community Northland based? Um,
Yeah.
and I guess it's to do with just creating opportunities here in Northland for those to grow and move forward from their studies. And
So let me ask you the hard question. How do
yes,
you think we should do that? Right?
that is a hard question. Um,
Because
it,
I
it's
mean, it's you look around. I'm going to be 50 next year, right? I don't look at but I'm going to be 50 next year, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do for the next generation for the next 30 years, so that they can walk in these artists that you're growing, right? That you're nurturing and so on, and imparting all the knowledge, and all the other tutors are putting into, and other places around Whangarei are doing the same thing. How do we keep them here, and what can we offer to keep them here? You know,
so for myself, it's and I've sat down with others in terms of that same question. Um, so for me, it's I guess bringing the community together. Um, so with a provider such as myself, going to other providers who are doing the same thing, such as InGen,
yeah.
um, and seeing what they offer, and then making those connections, and therefore, from here our students can move on to there, or vice versa. Students from
Right.
that provider can move on to here with
Yeah,
us, and it's just creating that network
right.
so tight that there's somewhere to go for the
Yeah.
student, or
Well, I mean, but it kind of feels like it's like, and I'm gonna be that guy over there, actually looking at this from that angle. So the devil's advocate, right? So do you see, like, it feels like it's like a feeding from one friggin' you know tutorial thing to another thing, but is that do you see that as a benefit, or is it because you're trying to make them have different skills than that when they walk out they're not actually just having one skill, but they're having more skills? Or is it because you think that by having that different aspect of skills, they are actually more educated to make a decision for themselves to stay and see what they can do, or they themselves can come up with how to help themselves stay here? I know it's a
yeah,
weird question
so
to ask, but playing the devil's advocate.
it's a mixture of all of that. Basically, what you just mentioned there, it's a mixture of all of that. Um, to be honest, but really, I think it's so with our school. With our school, we are really close with the community. So, um, and not in the sense of other providers that are
Yeah,
teaching, but in terms of employment, we
yeah,
have not only the community that support and share our views, because we do have students that are jumping off um, here to move into work, such as Creative Northland, as where
yeah,
Leonard used to work. Um,
yeah,
so we've made a really great connection with them, the school has. So, and they're keeping an eye on us. Across the road, we
yeah,
have Big Fish, and they also, we have that close connection
yeah.
that I have had with them in the past. And so it's
Right.
just bringing, everyone together, and then just opening up their eyes to what's possible out there. And hey, if it's not for them, then at least they've gained something from here, and know that it's there. Know that it's there for them.
Cool. I'm glad I
Yeah.
played a devil's advocate on that, because now you know, I was able to fish out the fact that you guys actually see other places of work and work with them. Like, I mean, Big Fish is a big what is Big Fish anyway? From what I understand is, they're more involved in digital and stuff. What are they?
Yeah, so they're a big graphic studio company,
Yep.
and yeah, they cover a wide spectrum of creative design. Um, yeah, they're amazing. They're one of
In the
the
in the past, when I was doing film school, right? And we had digital down in Chicago. They had like digital filmmaking, and there was also animation and all that. So if you wanted a job, Weta was a thing. This is about 2004, 2005. Wellington. So another island, North Island, South Island. So you had to go to North Island to get a job. So if you have students that could just walk across the street and get some work experience locally, that says a lot. That's a lot of benefit to your students to think about, maybe I need to apply a bit more to what I'm doing if I want to, why do I have to go somewhere else when I can stay with my family here or whatever, save on not having to move over to Auckland to go to work there, for the same thing, or stay home. Like we're getting to the family question. You're going to talk about family. rather than having to leave your family and pay that all that hundreds of dollars somewhere else, like in Auckland, for rent, for food, for whatever, but keeping that here locally, but still having that work. How do you guys, on the other side of that, do you guys like scope out your students and say this one here is good for big fish, or that one there is good for this one, or maybe he needs more, she, whatever, needs more education in the animation side. Let's send them over to engine room, or you know, to another, I think it's generator or something like that. You know, maybe they go to the next level of what they want, maybe game design, which what's on offer compared to that sort of side, because I think this is the greatness of infirmary, right? There's such closeness and having that all around you in the city. So how do you guys, that question? I know it's a roundabout question, but how do you see when you're having students at different levels of the or even the business mindset about them?
Yeah. So you kind of have to treat it as that. Not everybody are on the same level as others. Therefore, and keeping in mind, we are only a foundation provider, so
Right.
we're not expecting to send anybody out there in the field off the cuff.
Yeah.
However, we do offer such employment to the students at a student's level, so beginners or at that entry level.
Yeah.
And we've had in the past so many opportunities, and we have given those opportunities to students, past graduates.
Yeah.
And just to name a few, we have had a couple go into just head first into the industry. And we've had some that have just tested the waters. Clients have approached us for book illustrations and website development. And so students have taken that role on, or in the past, so this is what I used to do with my own clients. So my own clients would approach me for work, and while I'm while I'm tutoring here, I'll be doing some work as well. So the students are getting a live feed of my process, and
Yeah.
they're free to ask the questions, hard questions like, you know, what do you say to a client? How do you approach a client? You know talking about finances, that's a really difficult thing. Budget,
Yeah.
in terms of your creativity, what's your worth. So
Yeah.
in the past, I've been doing that throughout, and students have picked up. And I'm transparent, so I give them
Yeah.
a live feed, so to speak,
Yeah.
to what the industry is like through me. Now,
Yeah.
not only that, again, we do get a lot of clients walking through these doors. So they see design school and pop in and ask, can any of you students do a logo for me? I'm starting up a business. So then I create a brief for the students, and so it's a mixture of all of what you were saying in terms of how do you approach a student, or where do you set them, and there's not one level that you see a student. Basically, what it comes down to me is how do they feel about moving in a certain direction? Are you ready to move in that certain direction? Do you need more help? And quite often you do get students saying, oh, you know what, I thought I wanted to go into the animation, but I've been liking what the students have been coming up with their fashion design, so I wouldn't mind tackling a bit of that. And so they're still in the creative industry, and it's an easy transition for them to just move over to that.
See,
And vice versa.
it reminds me like of being at at Polytech. So you're doing craft design, but you want to do you want to do paintings and stuff. You don't get to do that. So I
Yeah,
would be at home doing Wolverine paintings that I would sell, which I only got reminded this week from, right? For $100 on cardboard. But at school I was doing pottery and stuff. So whereas there was no movement, right? You don't have like your stuff. So when I went to apply for you know for my course, I had drawings. I mean, and colored pencil drawings, tribal style that I have, and I still kind of continue that on. But I got stuck in out of the blue. I don't know how I ended up being stuck in jewelry and glass blowing and
yeah,
ceramics. So maybe my tutor, RP, Keith Mahi, one of the greats, set up the glass blowing. There's a big gallery here, Burning Issues Gallery here in Whangarei. One of the
yes,
four, and I'm like, what am I doing in this? But I enjoyed it. But there was no other movement away to anything else, right?
yeah,
So I'm painting at home and on canvas, on cardboard or whatever. But at school I'm doing this. Whereas at design school you can move if you're not there. And I like that aspect because I think not everybody's going to come in and stick with what they, like you said, with what that with the square peg that they've you know hole they've been put into, because after a while they realize, yeah, like you said, I think animation is better for me, or I'll rather do clothing, you know, design some cosplay or something, or go more further than that and actually do a label and such. So I find that really cool, and I find it really interesting that that's on offer and that's available to the students, because I think that that'll make them actually be more encouraged to attend, you know,
yes,
um, and not think about, well, if I do this, then I'm stuck in it. But you know, able to move around and still get a degree at the end of it because the credits are there and such. Um, so now 6 years in, right? Um, how do you feel about having been there? How many students have gone past? Uh, how do you feel about what you've done? As a tutor back home, and now we and then after that we'll talk about the family aspect of what you wanted to mention earlier.
yes. So uh, now it's quite funny that you bring that up now, because I feel as though I have come to, I guess, to opening up my own boundaries, I guess, that I didn't know that were closed off. So what I'm getting at is, now that I'm pretty much talking the talk, um, I am now in a position where, okay, maybe I can do what I'm teaching or providing or tutoring. Um,
Yeah,
so I guess I'm now more of a student, um,
yeah,
looking from a student's perspective. So now I'm starting to see the work that they've been producing, and then I'm going, oh, I want to do this. So
yeah,
I'm putting myself out there now. I'm going, okay, why not? Why not? So I'm starting to dabble into the fashion side of things that
Yeah.
we provide here. And hence that we spoke earlier about cosplaying. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. You know, I've never done it before
Yeah.
at this kind of level.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun, you know, and the students, when they heard, they were like, oh, yes, please, you got to do it, you got to do it. So, um,
Yeah.
and it's a good opportunity right now. Plunge is coming up, the
Yeah.
Benina Fashion Awards is coming up, and Armageddon is coming up. So there's um,
Yeah.
those three were a
Oh,
driving
and not only
force for
that,
me to,
next next year at Kerry, our theme is plunge in art. Sorry,
yes,
cosplay in art.
cosplay
So
and
we're putting
yeah,
cosplay at the top next year because I feel like there's a lot of creativity and getting dressed up is fun, and I think wanting to do that. But last night, or maybe the day before, I was actually thinking maybe I should look at paying somebody to actually design because I don't have the time. I'm so freaking busy. You know that maybe I should pay someone to actually do a costume for me, right?
yeah,
That,
yeah.
that they could design a costume for me based on one of my characters, so I can actually attend my own convention as one of my characters, not some other character, but my own character. But fashion, like I'm quite skinny, as you can see, so it has to fit me right to make me look bigger. For that character doesn't look like some skinny little thing, but actually looks good on me. And I look, and I thought, how much would that cost? $250, maybe. I'll provide the, whatever, and maybe I'll get somebody to do that for me, and maybe next Terry,
Absolutely.
right? I could get somebody to do that for me. And this is the business aspect of cosplay that I was talking about earlier. Like you said, there's all these competitions coming up, but there's also the fact that you could actually design costumes to sell to other people all over the world. I've heard it happening. I watch people on my Instagram do it, and I love cosplay. I think that's just as good as designing coming up with the original character. So you, how did you end up deciding to okay cosplay, right? Why cosplay?
Why cosplay, right? So we've in the past we've had a lot of students that have cosplayed so many times, and it's just been in the back of my mind going, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
We don't teach that here or deliver that in any sort as such. It's more textiles and fashion that we deliver here. So, yes, you can create costumes for cosplaying, but cosplaying is a totally different set of skills
yeah,
compared to fashion. Um, so, how I came about it, I think it was just for the love of fashion in the past 2 years that we've been
yeah,
lacking. Been lacking due to unfortunate circumstances. With the Benina Awards being cancelled for the last couple of years, and we've had students working on garments and entering the competition, and and find out that it was cancelled, and so it was
yeah,
a bit of a letdown for our students, and I think I've been carrying that weight over the last 2 years, and I'm thinking, well, you know what, it's out there now, so I'm gonna jump on board, just to lift the students' spirits up,
yeah,
and encourage them to keep going, keep doing what they do. So if they have fun laughing while I'm making mistakes doing this, it's all in the learning
yeah,
process. So I'm down for it, 100%. But I have a love for cosplay. I've been around it my life, so even though I haven't really entered any on that level, in a competition level. I have cosplayed in the past, and that's just, it's basically something like Halloween. You dress up for Halloween. So
Yeah,
that was my cosplay.
yeah.
Um, but other than that, I've had no experience until this year. This year's the year, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We're about 1 month in, so four
Yeah.
weeks in, and I'm starting to learn, a lot more than I thought I knew about cosplay.
Have you started your costume yet?
I have, yes, I have
Okay.
started my
Well,
costume.
that kind of bums me out because I was thinking you would look great as Templeton.
Who's
You would look
Templeton?
brilliant as Templeton's. I'll post it up later, but
All
Templeton's one of
right.
my original characters. He's actually Maori,
Ah,
right? And
okay.
yeah, it's Christopher Templeton. I haven't said it to anybody, but I, the character that I based it on, like the look and everything, is of a Maori actor, New Zealand Kiwi Maori actor, and he's got long hair and such. But wigs are always good. But
Yeah,
he's quite a stocky looking guy. Carries two guns. Uh, you know, but it's a mature readers thing, so it's not it's not it's for the well fantasy horror supernatural character type thing. But he's kind of like Constantine from
yes.
yeah. So, but one of the you'd look great in them, but the reason I mentioned it because I was just doing the coloring for the cover at the moment, and I've never
Right.
I just play around. But one of the reasons I was thinking about the cosplay side of things is I'm watching this game, this anime based on a game called Girls Frontline, and it's a mobile game. But the anime is either called Dolls Frontline or Girls Frontline, and it's about it's set like in 2060s, and they're like a robotic android, dolls and stuff, and they have this huge gun. One of them has this amazingly huge gun. It's like bigger than her, and I'm thinking that would be an awesome thing to walk into a convention with. It's all, and I'll make it out of foam, and I'll put
Yeah.
polystyrene as the main thing inside because you can't, otherwise it'll be too heavy, and
Yeah.
just foam around it. It's seriously, it's like if it was she's probably the girls and like the character cartoon character, anime character is only about 5 foot, and the gun's about 6 foot two or something. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be cool to have a huge gun at like that at plunge at a convention just sitting there on the side? And it's something like that, that side of things. But then have somebody walk up around with that, and in the cosplay. But there is that other part of that, which is the play part, which one of my friends who's a competition winner, right? She won lots of competitions all over Europe. Uh, and she said there's a costume part, and then there's a play part, which is you take on the role of that character. You kind of talk like that character, you mimic what the character's actions are. And so when they go into the like competitions like Armageddon, where they pay, you could win huge prizes, especially over in Europe and so on. You have to, you know, do that thing. You do a dance, like that the music, whatever it is that they dance to or whatever. And I heard just recently that there is a convention just for cosplay in Las Vegas, just for cosplay. Now, cosplay has been a part of anime, like you know, other conventions. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the fun, it's a tag on thing, and so it's like, it's anime, manga, and of course there'll be cosplay kind of thing, or it's comic books, it's film and TV. Yeah, people will be dressed up, and that'll make it fun. Now it's become a huge part of that, which is why I just sort of thought we should make that part of Plunge as a huge thing as well when we go to Karikari. And so that not only are you dressed up as a character, and I'm thinking, are you thinking? I'm kind of thinking like, are you doing Flesh and Blood or are you doing Yu-Gi-Oh as part
Oh,
of your cosplay?
funny enough, neither, neither. I thought I'd start simple, start simple.
Okay,
So the character I won't spoil, but and
okay,
those
we'll
who
keep it
know me
mum on that.
know what I'm going as. But it is a character from Arcane, the Netflix series.
Excellent, excellent. And that's the anime or the animation based off the game.
League of Legends.
That's it. I actually have a badge somewhere here. Yeah, there it is. We're changing things around the other day, and there is the badge. I mean, the necklace of it, which was
Yeah,
kind of like about 2014. I bought that in 2014. So, what made you think about doing League of Legends? From that rather than what you actually are interested in as a whole, which is the other side of you, which is like gaming and stuff, and trading card games
yeah.
and so on.
So I basically it came down to what would I, because I'm going in myself, entering it myself, so I'm not making this for somebody else to wear. Um,
You're right.
but I thought, what would suit my body type, um, and so on. So it kind of ticked all the boxes. I'm yes, body type,
Yeah.
yes, hair maybe. I'm halfway there. Tick tick. So I
Yep.
just went through a checklist. Um, Out of all the characters,
Mm.
especially, and I really enjoyed the show, the series,
Yeah. I haven't seen
Arcane.
it yet.
It is on another level in terms
Awesome. I've
of
heard good things.
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of animation, they've really um, stylized their animation to fit a paintable palette, as you can say. So
Yeah.
we're used to cell shading, which is what
Oh,
traditional cartoon and animations are done.
yeah.
So they've utilized a mix of 3D and just raw paintbrush style for animating. So it's really well done. Very
The reason I was
impressed with
putting
that.
that up there, I just realized that I've got Jinx up at the top there.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Apologies for that, guys. I was trying to be smart and I pressed the wrong thing. But I was just trying to say that I've got Jinx at the top, and that's what I was trying to work out
yes.
where she was. Mark Kane. That's what I was trying to aim at, and messed up the live stream. The other thing is I've got Lynette talking. I think she was talking about here about Benina, and looking forward to hang out with backstage and hitting the stage together. And that's the cool. That's the other thing about I think for people with this whole being able to go to competitions, which is quite different to just you know uh, creating a creating a costume, meeting with your friends. But now you're seeing the love and work that other people have put into their own costume. Who from some other thing have some other interests. So you might have someone's into comic books, movies, anime, or manga. I've been to. I went to Armageddon a few years back. There was someone dressed up in My Hero Academia as the frog person, with the frog. I can't remember the character's name. And I was like, who's that person? Like, that's a pretty cool costume. She was just walking around. Oh, what a awesome costume. And my friend Susan goes, that's from My Hero Academia. Never heard of it at that point,
Yeah.
right? At that point, I'd never heard of it. Must have been about 2014. And now I have My Hero Academia, I'm what you call it, T-shirt, right? Because I love it. I've seen it, right? I love it. I have My Hero Academia baseball shirt. So this whole thing about seeing other people wearing something like that gets you wants makes you want to know what they're about and stuff. And I think that's a great part of it because the effort people put into that people don't realize until you talk to them about it. And
Yeah.
there's so much technical side. So what have you learned on the technical side of putting this costume together?
Oh, so much. There's so much involved in constructing this costume or in general. So it has taken me a number of tutorials online and some favorite cosplayers that you follow. I've been following for a very long time, but really haven't
Yep.
been, active. Hence why I haven't been cosplaying at all. But I do love their outfits that they're able to create, and it's inspired some of my artwork in some ways. Um, and yeah, it is a heavy load on um, constructing your garments, and um, on surface level, you for myself looking at it as a new um, person cosplaying, um, I see. Um, in the beginning, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's easy to do. I can whip something up like that, no problem."
Yeah.
Until you actually sit down and get the materials, and you've got it all out in front of you. Yeah, your mind, your brain just goes, "Oh my gosh, I got to do this,
Yeah.
this." So
Yeah.
it's a learning curve, no doubt, learning curve. But it's a good learning curve at that. So I'm enjoying it.
I'm
I'm
laughing.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm laughing because I just decided I was going to do one of my characters' costumes myself in 2019 for Plunge.
Yeah.
Just the waistcoat is sitting up there, unfinished.
Oh, look at that.
That's how I just left it because I was like, this is too much. This is
Right.
way too much out of my league. I don't have
Yeah.
time. And that's why I think that, like, if you have someone who's actually designing costume and that's their thing, just to do that, why not pay that person to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, there's so much involved, and but then there's also that reward part of that you've
Yes.
created it in the end,
Yeah. And
and
that's one of the reasons why I'm actually doing this also. Not so much for the competition. I'm just doing this for fun. So,
yeah,
and obviously it is a competition, but again, I'm only doing this to see if I can. Um, and then with the failure or success of this first
yeah,
one, then you will see another one spawning from this one, and
awesome.
it will be coming from one of my hobbies, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Flesh and Blood,
Mm,
and or anime. Yeah,
awesome. Well, we've had you here for almost 2 hours, and you know, I'm just so. This is probably the longest we've ever talked in one setting. Or we've talked in passing and so on, but it's always been
Yeah,
awesome to talk to you because we share so much similar passions. But not only that, but you are nurturing and teaching so many artists, current, future, and upcoming, and so on, into the new, sort of like the art world that we live in, a technologically, uh, you know, changing
yeah,
world.
yeah,
Uh, where we've gone from like pen and paper to coding, to tablets,
yeah.
from pads and so on.
To
I
VR.
also, yeah, to VR now, right? So in writing it all up, because I don't want to hold you to for too long. Last words. You've got 3 to 5 minutes to tie it all up because you know it's your weekend. I don't want to hold you up for too long. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on solo. You your last words, except for that alarm. Now it's gone. So a couple of minutes of whatever you want to, what you see to end the whole event, and then we'll say our goodbyes and so on. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. But thank you for joining us, everybody who's hung out, and thank you for the comments, Lynette. And I'm sure everybody's had a good time. But we'll be back after the last words to finish up.
Awesome. No, thank you, Aru. I do appreciate, giving me time for this spot
Oops.
in your program. And no, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it has been a long time. It's been a long time waiting. So, and you have approached me a number of times in the past, but I have been busy at times. So, I thank you for staying in there, pretty much, and just you know getting me to finally jump on and speak about my life's journey in a sense, in terms of where I'm at now with the design school. So I appreciate that, Aru. With the design school, again, we do offer NCEA's levels 2 to 4 certificates. We also take on part-time students who are currently at school. And we just deliver, or basically help people capture their creative talent is what we do here at the design school. Um, and gaining qualifications needed to enter design courses at diploma and degree levels. So I guess that's me in a nutshell. Again, thank you, Aru, for giving me this time. And thank you, chat, Lynette, for those kind words also. Um, I'll take it over back to you there, Aru.
All right. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Phil. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think I'm just excited to have something like the design school here in Whangarei. I think the opportunities are so much. There's nothing like having local forms of tuition where it's not expensive where you can have students. What really amazed me, which I didn't think of before, was that you could be still at school and
Yes.
come and get cross credit.
Yep.
And that stuck in my head, but at that point I forgot to come back to it.
To break it,
So
yeah.
can we just finish? Yeah, can we just finish up on that because I think that's something that we can really look at talking about just to finish up.
Yes, so absolutely. Just quickly and briefly to add to that there, Aru. With our part-time students, it is a really great opportunity for them the fact that they're taking time from a tertiary school, so they're stepping out of that set of rules and coming into the design school where we treat everyone as an individual. So it's they have a lot more responsibilities, that they didn't have in tertiary school that they do have here, and it has really opened them up to express more of their talent, I guess. And not only that, they're in a space with like-minded students. They feel comfortable, and sometimes schools not good, tertiary schools not doing so well for you, and I guess this is a place that you can come to and gain those credits, those extra credits that if this is a pathway that you're wanting to go down as creative industry, then design school is a place that you can come to and gain that while you're still studying at school. It's nothing to take away from the tertiary schools whatsoever. If anything, I do encourage students that are part-times that come here. I do encourage them to stay at school, complete their studies, because there's a lot of subjects that we don't cover here at the school, and which is why it's important to, especially for numeracy and literacy. Although we briefly cover it here, it's more beneficial if you were to stay at school. Now, for those who don't, or are unfortunate to have that stable in their life, then absolutely the design school can, you can pick up that here at the design school, as well as being at the school. So whether you can try it here as a trial, or just take it on as a part-time. Yeah,
that's very encouraging. Yeah, that's very encouraging because I kind of think like how stale sometimes school can be, because, and that's why a lot of people, it's a lot of kids, decide to leave because it's like not their thing. And so if they have something like design school where they can kind of step into and go get that one-on-one encouragement, that all these different things, artistically, creatively, that's amongst their own peers who also think like them.
Yeah.
I think that's the greatest thing about that environment, is that when you actually have other creatives who also think like them,
share the same.
Yeah. And so,
Absolutely.
thank you for this. Thank you for chatting with me today, and hopefully a lot of people get, who are interested or thinking about doing something locally, creatively, or like you said, want to do something hobby-wise, different to what they're doing, or someone who's looking at entering into it, or someone who's done it and wants to come and upgrade. There are so many opportunities at design school. So thank you so much, Phil. I'll let you enjoy your weekend. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Until next time, be safe, be well, wherever you are. Ka kite anō. See you next time.
Ngā mihi.